Talk about a crusher. Yes! Oh!
Are you kidding me?
And gone!
Welcome back to the Schoolyard Sports podcast. I'm the host of this podcast, Lane Frank. We're now on episode 237. So we're 237 episodes through, and I got an action-packed episode planned for you. The Dodgers have won the World Series. College basketball starts this week. We just wrapped up a great week in college football and the NFL. MLB, we got a lot to go over with the offseason, a few other things, and NBA off to a roll. So let's hop in episode 237. Let's start off episode 237, how we always do, with our headlines in an NBA. Luka Doncic has been the star of the NBA so far, dropping 40 points night in, night out, making records compared to Wilt Chamberlain type of stats here we've seen so far with Luka Doncic. Always a great thing when you can be in conversation with Wilt Chamberlain and stats-wise. Luka Doncic off to a great start for the Lakers. Can't say so much for the team, though. Los Angeles Lakers reeling a little bit without LeBron James. Luka is their main piece, and Austin Reeves is number two. Not too much outside of those two guys. Luka was fire, though, coming back from his injury. My New York Knicks are struggling, losing to the Chicago Bulls on Friday, losing a few games before that, sitting at 3-5 earlier in the week. New York Knicks are struggling, everybody. But Mike Brown, I trust him. This team looked good the first two games of the year. We'll see how the Knicks can figure this out. They might still be a bit banged up. I don't know how. It's the first week of the season, but we'll see what happens with the New York Knicks. Ja Morant is suspended. No shocker here. His first week of the NBA season, this guy's already suspended. He went all of last year without any incidents, pretty much the year before too. 3 years ago, Ja Morant was a head case, as we all know, with the suspension and the 25-game suspension to start the next year. Another incident here for Ja Morant, this time with the coach. Team cancer, I don't want to say it, but the Memphis Grizzlies, he's untradeable at this point because who would want to trade for Ja Morant? But also, he's kind of your franchise cornerstone. But you got to find guys who want to play with Ja Morant. It's going to be hard to do that when he's getting suspended in incidents like this. And guys to really coach Ja Morant. Taylor Jenkins, he might have just been fed up and then not want to give his best last year. And that's why he got fired. More of a parting ways than firing, I would say. Trae Young is going to be out 4 weeks to wrap up these NBA headlines. Trae Young, obviously a great NBA career so far. But, it's, year 8 now of Trae Young? And he's injured. He's out 4 weeks, and it's maybe time for him to maybe take that next step to where he can be a playoff championship contender. He almost did it back in 2021, but didn't get it done, losing the conference finals. And now it's like Trae Young's kind of hit a plateau on his career. This injury definitely won't help with that, but that's about for the news in the NBA. In the NFL, we had a great week 9 in the NFL where Cam Little got us going a little bit on Sunday with the longest field goal in NFL history, 68 yards. Incredible stuff right there by Cam Little. The longest field goal in NFL history. He did it in the preseason. He did it again in the regular season. College guys, they can't even hit from 48 consistently. So Cam Little doing it from 68 is a real, true accomplishment for the Jaguars kicker. But he's honestly not that incredible of a kicker. It's just he can kick from a very long distance at a very high rate, it seems. Baltimore Ravens got us going on Thursday Night Football with the win over the Miami Dolphins. You thought the Dolphins were going to be good after their win on Sunday the week before against the Falcons, their shutout win. But no, Ravens stood tall. Lamar Jackson back at quarterback. They got their second straight win on the year. Chicago Bears got a great win on Sunday over the Cincinnati Bengals. Another crushing loss at home for the Bengals, 42-41 after last week losing to the Jets. This week, Colston Loveland gets his game of the day, game of the year, game of his career as a rookie. 29 fantasy points for me and gets a game-winning touchdown, 60 yards. Colston Loveland and Caleb Williams are going to be a great connection for years to come in Chicago. Minnesota Vikings got their signal caller back today in J.J. McCarthy, and he played great. He really did for Minnesota Vikings. This team had been struggling, only 3 wins, only 2 without J.J. McCarthy, and 4 losses on the year. And it was a tough stretch for them. Justin Jefferson couldn't get the ball. They couldn't run the ball, even without and with Aaron Jones. Now you get Aaron Jones back healthy. Justin Jefferson has maybe his best game of the season. And J.J. McCarthy, 3 touchdowns. Great day for him. Minnesota Vikings got the win over the Detroit Lions. Carolina Panthers, great win over the Green Bay Packers. You like to see it. Packers, 5-2-1 now, I want to say. All their wins have been against solid competition. Their 2 losses, arguably 2 of the worst teams in the NFL, Carolina and Cleveland. Something to think about there. When this offense doesn't get going, the defense stands tall. When this offense does get going, this defense can struggle. That showed in this game where the defense was great, and the Browns game where the defense was great. But then in the Cowboys game, the offense was rolling. The defense couldn't do anything. So I think they need to find a happy medium. We talked about that last week in the show. Packers need to find their happy medium, and they just didn't do it this week against Carolina. That's how they pick up the loss. Los Angeles Chargers kept everybody in it in their survivor pick this week with their win over the Titans, because we all know that was the biggest spread of the week, biggest really lock of the week. Chargers over the Titans was dicey at first. It's kind of been like that in a few games for LA this year, but Jesse Minter's defense and Jim Harbaugh's offense get going, and they win over the Tennessee Titans. New England Patriots got another win on Sunday. They're 6-2. They're playing great football. They have 2 losses on the year, but I'm really impressed with how this team has played. Another win this time over the Falcons. Drake May in New England got some big games coming up starting next week, but New England 6-2 on the year. Drake May, Mike Vrabel, a great combination so far. San Francisco 49ers got another win, bouncing back from their loss against the Texans last week with a win over the New York Giants. Mac Jones was 14-14 going into halftime. Played a great game, 19-24. It's what you like to see. And when you're Brock Purdy, you get worried because you have that big contract. But coming out of college, Mac Jones is the better player, always. Number 15 overall pick versus number 256 overall pick. But that's college. You might think it's a little bit different. Mac Jones maybe had a better rookie year than Brock Purdy. Brock got thrown into it middle of his rookie year. Mac Jones almost won Rookie of the Year. Mac Jones hits a bad plateau in his career after having a bad injury at some point in his third season. Brock Purdy kept on going. Gets injured now. Mac Jones, this might be his opportunity. Step in there and really take over the reins. Even if Brock Purdy comes back healthy, it's a decision Kyle Shanahan is going to have to make. Brock Purdy, you only have to think he'll be on a short leash if he does come back as a starter for San Francisco. Pittsburgh got the best win on the day, beating the 7-1 Indianapolis Colts. I said they couldn't do it. They made me eat my words. Defense played well. They had Daniel Jones looking like Danny Dimes from the New York Giants. Good win for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Broncos picked up their 6th straight win on Sunday. Bo Nix is just rolling in year 2 in this Sean Payton system. Sean Payton has found his quarterback, his next Drew Brees, and Bo Nix. And this Broncos defense is playing at an all-time level. 6-2 for the Denver Broncos after that little rough 0-2 start to the season. Los Angeles Rams got the win on Sunday. Keep on going. Matthew Stafford, they had good connections today. Terrence Ferguson, tight end out of Oregon, the 2nd-round pick for them, played pretty well today. That's a good pickup for them that they had this offseason. We'll see if they can keep it going next week. Buffalo Bills also got a great one on the day. Close us out here for the headlines in the NFL with a win over the Kansas City Chiefs, who always have their number in the playoffs. The Bills, seems like they've got them in the regular season. 5-4 Chiefs, Bills beat them for probably the last time in Highmark Stadium when they move to their dome next season. So the Bills, nice win. We'll see if we get this matchup in the playoffs. That's about for the headlines in the NFL. In the MLB, the Dodgers have won the World Series. I can't wait to break it down more later on in this episode 237. Still more to come. Let's hop into week 10 of the NFL season with Schoolyard Sports NFL Game Day. You know how we roll. Pick the best games of the week in the NFL and get a perfect record. Starting off with Falcons versus the Colts. I think the Colts bounce back, mostly because everybody, it seems like, can beat the Falcons at this point. Colts over the Falcons. Giants versus the Bears. The Bears played well last week. They put up 42 points. But for the Giants, I like Jackson Dart. I like the running game without Cam Scadaboo, Tyrone Tracy. I think Brian Dable's coaching for his job. I'm going to go with the Giants. I know I shouldn't, but I'm going to go with the Giants over the Bears in this one. The Bears played well last week. Kyle Monangai, Colson Loveland, Caleb Williams. That all gets shut down this week by the Giants. Ravens versus the Vikings. I like J.J. McCarthy. I like this defense for Minnesota. I think they shut down Lamar Jackson. Let's go with the Vikings over the Ravens. The Vikings just beat one of the best teams in the NFL in Detroit, so let's go with the Vikings over the Ravens. Browns versus the Jets. A really bad game here. 1-7 versus, I think, 2-7. It's just not a good game. But I'm going to go with the Jets. I think Dylan Gabriel is too early to be an NFL quarterback, too young. I think he just isn't starting quarterback material. Justin Fields gets another win right here over another very bad AFC North team. Jets over the Browns. Next one, Patriots versus the Buccaneers. Buccaneers coming off a bye week. They're getting healthy. Bucky Irving could be coming back in this one. But Drake May and Mike Vrabel is an awesome pairing right now, and they're winning football games. So let's go to New England, a huge win over Tampa Bay. Probably their biggest win in the past 3 years since Bill Belichick left. This is going to be a huge win for New England. over Tampa Bay might be the game of the day. Jaguars versus the Texans, a little AFC South battle. I think CJ Stroud's going to be out in this one with that concussion. Jaguars got overtime win last week over the Raiders. Let's go with the Jaguars over the Texans. Rams versus the 49ers. I like the 49ers in this one. I really do. I like quarterback controversies. They beat them in LA. I think they beat them at their home stadium now. Really, that is their home stadium also, SoFi Stadium, because when they play there, all the 49ers fans show up. It's always how it is. Kyle Shanahan has always had Sean McVay's number, and I think he does again right here. San Francisco over LA. Next one, Steelers versus the Chargers. Steelers coming off a really good win. Chargers haven't got a good win in a little bit, but I think they do right here. I think Jesse Minter has the perfect plan to stop Aaron Rodgers, defense coordinator for the Chargers, and Jim Harbaugh can celebrate a win in Week 10 over the Pittsburgh Steelers. Last game of the week, Monday Night Football, Eagles versus the Packers. You might not think it, but the Packers really need a win right here. I have the Packers written on my sheet, but I'm going to flip it. I'm going to go with the Eagles in this one. Coming off a bye week, Saquon Barkley's getting healthy. Jalen Hurts, he's hearing all the things that people have to say about him. He gets the win. And I've said it, the Packers can beat the good teams, lose to the bad ones. They're going to start losing to the good ones too. Let's go with the Eagles over the Packers to round out Schoolyard Sports NFL Game Day. Now, top 5. This week's top 5 is the top 5 takeaways from the Dodgers World Series win over the Toronto Blue Jays. A 7-game series, as I predicted. The Dodgers win, as I predicted. So very happy to get that going with this World Series. My predictions were right. Let's see if my takeaways are right too in the comments section with you guys. Number 5, having role players is okay. Having role players matters in baseball. Everybody thinks that, the Dodgers are just full of superstars, full of all these great pitchers, great hitters. I mean, no, not necessarily. You have Will Klein going 5 innings in that Game 3. You have guys like Justin Robleski pitching in primetime in Game 7. You have Miguel Rojas playing second base in Game 6 and Game 7 and being the hero of Game 7, saving the Dodgers, hitting a home run in the top of the 9th to tie the game, and then saving the game with an incredible defensive play to get the runner out home, which would have won the game and won the World Series for Toronto. So having role players matters, everybody. It really does. It's not just superstars all across the field. You need those glue guys. Everybody wonders why Miguel Rojas is on this team. He's not a good hitter, hits a home run every 90, 100 at-bats. He really isn't all that. But he's going to be a great manager one day, and everybody always says that about him. He's a glue guy, and he does what glue guys do. He did what Rajai Davis did back in 2016 for the Cleveland Indians, hit a home run, tie the game, and he tied a game right here. It got the win. Miguel Rojas, the glue guy for the Dodgers, proves that role players matter in baseball still. Number 4, this one's controversial. Shohei Ohtani should be a full-time hitter. No. Shohei Ohtani's a great hitter. He's not a good pitcher anymore. He had a great pitching performance in the NLCS against the Brewers, 6 innings, 10 strikeouts. But I think it's irresponsible and almost unjust to have Ohtani keep on pitching. Not to any of the other players in the team that might be better than them, because he could still be a top 5 pitcher in their rotation. Not in MLB, but in their rotation. But it's a disservice to him as a hitter, because I really do think it makes him tired. I really do think it messes up his approach as a hitter. We've seen it to where outside of that game in the NLCS, Game 4, his hitting takes a big dip when he pitches, and his pitching really isn't all that anymore. Gives up a 3-run homer to Bo Bichette in Game 7 of the World Series. I think it was irresponsible to throw Shohei in that situation, but Shohei Ohtani should be a full-time hitter going forward. Number 3, the Blue Jays will be the team to beat in the American League for years to come. Blue Jays did a great job in this World Series. I don't see many pieces leaving them next year outside of maybe Bo Bichette. You have great pitchers still. You have Kevin Gausman. You have Jose Barrios for next year. You have Chris Bassett. Vladdy Jr. is 26 years old. Ernie Clement still in his 20s. You have Dalton Varsho. You have Nathan Lucas. You have a lot of great guys. Alejandro Kirk is also 26, I believe. There's a lot of potential for this squad. Andres Jimenez, very, very good team. George Springer's 36, but I mean, the team to beat next year in the AL, I think will still be the Toronto Blue Jays. 2 years ago, the Rangers won the World Series, and I was very surprised to not see them do similar things next year. I don't think I'm going to see that right here. I think the Blue Jays are going to have good success next year. Unlike the Rangers did 2 years ago after making the World Series, Blue Jays are going to win the AL next year, maybe the year after that, and for years to come, because they're going to run this American League, and this World Series proved it. They got a great manager in John Shiner. I'm excited for the future of the Blue Jays. Number 2, there will be no 2027 season in MLB. It's kind of crazy to think about it because, say, Will Smith's foot is a little bit more off the bag and we do have baseball in 2027. But I think because his foot is on the bag and the Dodgers win that World Series, we don't have baseball in 2027. I really don't think so. Because when the Dodgers keep on winning World Series, there's going to be a lockout in 2027. There really is. CBA is going to be coming up. We had a mini lockout back in, 2022? And people got worried that maybe in 5 years, there would be a mega lockout and we'd miss a whole season. Those fears are going to come true. We're going to miss the whole entire 2027 season because there's going to be a huge lockout on if there should be a salary cap in baseball. The players probably won't want it. The owners, the teams, they will. So this Dodgers World Series means that there's going to be a lockout in 2027, unfortunately. Number one, the best takeaway I have in this World Series is that Dave Roberts is the reason why the Dodgers won this World Series. The moves he made, the pitching moves he made outside of Ohtani, putting in Yamamoto, the defensive switches, putting in Miguel Rojas to start the last 2 games. Andy Paz coming in as a defensive switch midway through the 9th inning won them this World Series. Because when Ernie Clement hits the ball that deep and Andy Paz has to moss his left fielder for it, all the way from center field to catch the ball and go to the top of the 10th, that's what won them the World Series. By moving that player, moving Andy Paz in there, maybe even moving Justin Dean in center field in Game 6, him putting his arms up. Maybe the original center fielder wouldn't have done that. Dave Roberts made so many great moves in this World Series. Yamamoto was incredible. Dave Roberts put him in great spots. Hitters were incredible. Dave Roberts put them in the right spots. That's why they won this World Series. Dave Roberts can get a bad rap sometimes. That, he's just the manager and the Dodgers won the World Series because it's the Dodgers and they have great players. No. Dave Roberts has been at this for a long time. 2016, they made the NLCS his first year. 2017, they made the World Series. 2018, they made the NLCS. 2019, they were the 1 seed. 2020, they won the World Series. In 2021, they were lost in the NLCS. 2022, I think they also lost in the NLCS. 2023, Dodgers were a good team that year. 2024, they won the World Series. In 2025, Dave Roberts wins his 3rd World Series. He's the reason why the Dodgers are back-to-back champions. And that's about for Top 5. Now, did you know? This week's Did You Know is, did you know the 2010 Raiders won all their division games, won 6-0 against their division opponents, but missed the playoffs? They only won 2 other games and finished the year 8-8. But did you know the Oakland Raiders went 6-0 in their division and didn't even make their playoffs in 2010? That's about for Did You Know this week. It's time for the Schoolyard Sports Scream. I want to call it end of an era, Hugh Freeze, but I don't even know if you can call it an error. It was really just a malfunction on Auburn's part, a terrible idea to hire him in the first place, and there was nothing notable that happened in his time at Auburn outside of losing football games. So I'm going to scream on somebody else, an era that should be an error because this era should be over already. The Mario Cristobal era at Miami. Let's break it down. Mario Cristobal gets hired at Miami before the 2022 season. There's a lot of hype around it. Mario Cristobal's from Miami. He had a great time at Oregon. But when you look deeper in the lines, Mario Cristobal has never been clutch. And this year, it seemed like Miami would be a great football team. Great team. And they were to start the year. They beat Notre Dame. They beat Florida. They beat Florida State. I mean, they were on a roll. They were 3-0. They'd beaten best resume in the country. And they were number 2 in the country. Then you lose to Louisville. Then you lose this weekend to SMU on the road, your first time leaving the state of Florida, and your playoff hopes are done. Gonzo. Let's look at what Mario Cristobal's track record has been and why this isn't so shocking to me. Because in 2018, Mario Cristobal's second year at Oregon, when it really looked like he was ready to take that next step, no playoff for them, though. Justin Herbert kind of choked towards the end of the year, and Mario Cristobal didn't coach so great in the last few games. They don't make the playoff, but hey, it's 2019. We got Justin Herbert coming back. You're in prime playoff position. You're going to make the playoff. You're the number 3 team in the country, I want to say, and you go to Arizona, Tempe, on a Saturday night, and you lose to true freshman Jaden Daniels and true junior Brandon Ayuk on an 80-yard touchdown pass that kind of sealed the deal. On 3rd and 16, your season's done for. You lose 2 games. Rob Mullins, who was their AD and was the CFP chairman at the time, looked clueless on the sideline in that game. So, 2019, no playoff. That was a great chance for them, but no playoff for Justin Herbert and Mario Cristobal. I'd blame the coach in that game on the road. 2020, really bad year. Tyler Shough was the quarterback, just didn't do a good job. You make it to a New Year's Six bowl game, you actually win the Pac-12, but I mean, it's 2020. college football, the Pac-12 didn't really exist. 2021, Anthony Brown is your starting quarterback, and you're a top 4 team in the country. Then you lose to Stanford, a game you definitely should have lost, but your playoff hopes are still there with 1 loss. But you lose to Utah on the road, a game that is okay to lose, but you're not going to make the playoff by losing that game. If you hadn't lost to Stanford earlier in the year, you probably still had a chance. Then you lose once again to Utah. Mario Cristobal's fault, in my opinion, that they lost both those games. 2021, it was irresponsible to have Anthony Brown as your starting quarterback with that good of a roster around him. 2022, Miami was terrible this season, Mario Cristobal's first year, and they went 5-7. Okay, let's gear up for next year, Mario Cristobal. 2023, Tyler Van Dyke is the starting quarterback. You're all excited. But hey, he gets injured. Emory Williams becomes the quarterback. Ja'Cory Brown becomes the quarterback. You lose terrible games like the kneeling situation where they should have kneeled the ball. They didn't. Hans King and Georgia Tech get a touchdown. They win that game. You make it to the Bad Boy Moyers Bowl. So exciting for Miami football fans. The Pinstripe Bowl and a loss to Rutgers. But hey, that's 2023. Now it's 2024. Now we've got Cam Ward as our quarterback, who's supposed to be this great Heisman quarterback, which he really was. I mean, he was the number 1 pick, Cam Ward. And you're rolling. You're 10-2 or 10-1 going into your last regular season game of the year against Syracuse. All you have to do is win your next 2 games, or really next game, and you're in the college football playoff. What do? They lose to Syracuse in a terrible game on the road. Bad defense all around for Miami after loss to Georgia Tech earlier in the year because of their defense. You miss the playoff, a 12-team playoff, and it's a disservice to your fans and to Cam Ward, who was the number 1 quarterback in college football that year, in my opinion. So 2024, bad year for Mario Cristobal. Even if the record doesn't say it, I think it was a bad year for Miami football, and that goes on Mario Cristobal for not having his defense in order. Now it's 2025. You have a great defense, and you have 2 losses already. After being the number 2 team in the country 2 weeks ago, you're going to be out of the playoff before week 11. Tough to see from Mario Cristobal. I'm screaming on you this week because you ruined the Miami Mario Cristobal. That's my take. Schoolyard Sports Scream. Still more to come. Episode 237. Now, I'm excited because college basketball is back, everybody, and we got a great year coming up. I'm going to give you my college basketball preseason, hot takes preseason preview. I'm so excited for this year in college basketball. 2025-2026 college basketball season is here. Let's start out with the first prediction I've got for you. Braden Smith wins the Wooden Award in college basketball to kick off this Schoolyard Sports prediction show. The Wooden Award is like the MVP. I ranked him number 1 player in college basketball last week. Braden Smith wins the Wooden Award this year. Excited for that to come true. Next one, I think these 2 teams disappoint mightily this year. And those teams are Houston and UConn, the number 2 and number 4 teams in college basketball, respectively. Houston, I think it was a great team last year. You had O.J. Cryer, you had a few other guys, and it all came together. But I don't really see any shot makers on Houston this year. I see Milos Uzan, but I don't think he can play point guard. I think Pop Isaacs has been great for this team, but he decided to transfer here and then not transfer here after Milos Uzan decided to come back after going to the NBA for a minute. Combine. So I think for Houston basketball, you don't have that point guard playmaker this year like you did with Jamal Shed, like you did with Quentin Grimes, like you did with LJ Cryer. I don't see that this year with Houston, so I don't think that they have a good year. I think that they might still make the tournament, but I wouldn't expect them to be a top 4 seed this year, even though they are the preseason number 2 team in the country. Next one, for UConn, I think they disappoint because I just don't see a difference in their roster from this year to last year. You might think so, but I mean, the gains they've added don't really outweigh the losses. Losing Liam McNeely is a big loss to them. That guy was a first-round pick. He was their best player last year. Alex Caravan is pretty overrated, in my opinion. You still don't have a point guard like Tristan Newton. I mean, I don't know what you see with UConn this year. Terrace Reed is the center. He's 6'9". I know him as a Michigan fan. He wasn't that good there. He's not that good at UConn. Dan Hurley's going to have another rough year in college basketball. I think he's a great head coach, but I just don't see them having a good year. I think they have another down year. They probably make the tournament, but on another down year. UConn has a down year, and Houston disappoints. So number 2 and number 4 preseason don't have good years. Next one, this team exceeds expectations and ends up in the top 10 by March, and that's Gonzaga. Gonzaga got some great news this week. Tyon Grant Foster, their transfer from Grand Canyon, was ruled eligible this week to play for them. Mark Few, he's got a great squad lined up for this year. I'm excited to watch Gonzaga basketball. Braden Huff, good player to watch for them too. Graham Ike. I like Gonzaga this year, and I really do think that they make Sweet 16, maybe a deep run in that NCAA tournament, and end up top 10 after going undefeated in conference play. Next one, Michigan State fails mightily, and I think they might miss the NCAA tournament at this point. I think they struggle so much in the Big Ten this year because Michigan State last year was a really good team. Trace Richardson, Xavier Booker, Cohen Carr, Trey Holloman. Of all those guys I mentioned, Cohen Carr is the only one still there. Jeremy Fears is going to be their playmaker this year. I don't know if Jeremy Fears is going to be able to play like his brother Jeremiah Fears, who's in the NBA now. I don't think Jeremy Fears and Michigan State get it going. I don't think Michigan State is a good year. I think Tom Izzo expects a down year, and they get a down year. I'm going to say Michigan State misses the NCAA tournament this year. Next one. I think these two college basketball blue bloods return to the top of college basketball, or at least a competitive play. And that's Indiana and Georgetown. Indiana, I think, could be a top 10 team also by the end of the year. You got transfer guard Sam Houston State, Lamar Wilkerson, who averaged 25 points last year. I think he could do great things in the Big Ten. You have Darian DeVries as your head coach now. His son, Tucker DeVries, is a really good player. I'm excited to watch Indiana basketball this year. Darian DeVries as the head coach. And then for the other team, Georgetown, Ed Cooley finally has his guys going. They played Kentucky in a scrimmage the other night on the road. They beat them. Kentucky is supposed to be one of the best teams in the country this year. Georgetown basketball on the up and up. So is Indiana. I think they both have great years and end up in the top 25 for the first time in a long time for those programs. Next one, and this is a big one. Hubert Davis gets fired. Either it's midseason or at the end of the season. I think Hubert Davis gets fired. I don't think he built together a good roster this year. Last year was a disappointment. The year before, they were a great team. They didn't do well in the NCAA tournament, and the year before that, they missed the NCAA tournament. So for Hubert Davis's tenure at North Carolina, for how bad his first year was in the regular season, to make the national championship that same year, to be the preseason one the next year and miss the NCAA tournament, for the next year to have no expectations and be a 1 seed, for the next year after that, last season, to not do anything and make it to the first 4 and only make it to the round of 64 in the NCAA tournament, I think there's a lot of pressure on him this season, and I just don't see that they got good players this year. Henry Visar out of Arizona, he's okay, but I just don't know what they're going to do without RJ Davis and a few other key pieces that they're missing. North Carolina does not have a good year, and Hubert Davis gets fired, in my opinion. Now I want to give you my Final Four prediction, and that'll give you my national championship. So let's get into my Final Four teams. Michigan is going to make the Final Four. Daxel Lendenberg is the most dominant player in college basketball. Elliot Cadeau is a true point guard. His backup, LJ Kaysen, true sophomore, was great for Michigan last year. Namari Burnett is a fifth-year senior. He's 6'6". This team has a ton of size. Marez Johnson was one of the best players in Illinois last year. Ade Mara, the tallest player in this team, 7'3", is going to be the starting center. There's a lot of deep players on this team. This team is very deep when it comes to it. Friend of the show, Dusty May, has a great rotation for him this year. Will Cheddar might find himself in the rotation. He has the past few years. He's a glue guy for this team. So I'm excited for the number 1 transfer portal class in the country to be put on display. Roddy Gale transferred 2 years ago. I think Michigan basketball is going to have a great year. After making the Sweet 16 last year, they win 2 more games and make it to the Final Four. Next one, St. John's makes it to the Final Four. I'm impressed with St. John's and what Rick Pitino has done there, of course. But I'm more impressed on what they've done in the transfer portal. Bringing in guys like Bryce Hopkins, Joe Sonsanen, who we had in the show a few weeks ago, Ia Jackson from North Carolina. Very excited to see Zuby Ejiofor, the preseason player of the year in the Big East, show up this year for St. John's. So they missed shooting last year, and they get their shooting back this year. So St. John's has a great year, and they make the Final Four. Another team to make the Final Four will be Mark Pope in Kentucky in year 2. Mark Pope in Kentucky brought some great players. Jaden Quaintonitz from Arizona State, 6'10". Expect him to be a top 5 pick this year. I think he's going to have a great season for them. I think Otega Owe, getting him back was huge. He's going to be the best guard in the SEC. So Kentucky will make the Final Four this year in year 2 under Mark Pope. And the last team that I think will make the Final Four is a team that was basically a bucket away from making it last year, Texas Tech. The only piece they lost from last year was Darian Williams, who's at North Carolina State now. You brought back JT Toppin. You brought back Christian Anderson, point guard. So I'm very excited to see that duo back in action. Grant McCaslin will find himself in Indianapolis with his Red Raiders in April. Now, who is going to win the national championship in college basketball? You may call me a homer because I'm a Michigan fan, but I gave you all that analysis on that squad. I think the Michigan Wolverines, it's too good of an opportunity for them this year. They win the national championship. Daxel Lendenberg might be the most unguardable player in college basketball this year. And when you can guard him, you can't guard Marez Johnson. You can't guard the perimeter. Namari Burnett, did I mention 5-star true freshman Trey McKinney as well? It's going to be a great year for Michigan basketball. I'm excited for it. And national champions will be the Michigan Wolverines. For the first time in a long time, the championship will be in Michigan. That's about for college hoops madness. Now, college football showcase, everybody. Let's hop on our top 25 and our 6 hot takes of the week, entering week 11 of college football. Number 1 and number 2 stay the same. Ohio State number 1, Indiana at number 2, Texas A&M at number 3, Alabama at number 4, Georgia at number 5, Oregon at number 6, Ole Miss at number 7, Notre Dame at number 8, next Texas Tech at number 9, 10 BYU, 11 Virginia, 12 Oklahoma. Let's throw Texas in there at 13, 14 Georgia Tech, 15 Louisville, 16 USC, 17 Utah, 18 Vanderbilt, 19 Tennessee, 20 Miami, 21 Michigan, 22 Missouri, 23 Cincinnati, 24 Memphis, and 25 Iowa Hawkeyes. Let's break it down. College football playoff rankings come out this week for college football. These are my Schoolyard Sports ones. Let's go 25-1 this week. Flip the order. 25 Iowa. I just think Iowa's, been a good football team all year long. They have a great matchup this week against Oregon. Mark Gronkowski has been a great quarterback so far for Iowa, really bringing that offense from South Dakota State. 23 Cincinnati, just falling in my rankings after the loss to Utah last week. 21 Michigan. Never have I been more disappointed in watching a Michigan game than I was with that Purdue win, because I don't think I've ever seen Michigan play that bad at home against a team that only has 2 wins on the year against Southern Illinois and Ball State. So tough stuff right there for Michigan. But hey, a win's a win, even if it's against Purdue. 20, Miami. I think the Hurricanes just are out of playoff contention. We talked about it earlier, but it's tough to see. 19, Tennessee reeling after their loss against Oklahoma. 16, USC picking up their best win in the Big Ten yet against Nebraska. 15, Louisville. I think they have a chance to make the ACC championship game. 14, Georgia Tech. My call with North Carolina State was perfect last week. They fall in my rankings. 13, Texas. Best win of the year over Vanderbilt at home. I think they're just going to start playing better and better and better. 10, BYU. Showdown of the week against Texas Tech. Looking forward to that. 8, Notre Dame, finding themselves back in a playoff position, winning against Boston College last week. Let's skip to number 6, Georgia. Georgia, they're playing a rivalry game against Florida. It's an interim head coach for Florida. I wouldn't overreact to how close that game was, because, yes, they were down in the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter, but you still got the win, and I think that's what matters here. 5, Oregon. I just think Oregon was, coming off bye week, struggling a few weeks before that. Their best win is still maybe against Penn State, which seems rough. Thinking how Penn State is now, but I think that was a very different football team a few weeks ago. 4, Alabama. I love Alabama. You know that. I think they're playing great football. I think they have the best resume in the country since week 1. I might even start ranking them in this top 3 coming up soon, but big game against LSU this week. We'll see how they can handle that pressure. 3, Texas A&M. They're playing good football as well. We'll see how they do this week. They're playing Missouri on the road. And then 2 and 1 stay the same. Ohio State just looked great. I really sat down and watched their game this week. 17-14 at halftime, but it seemed like it was 55-0. You knew Ohio State was going to pull away, and they did. Julian Sayin is going to be a Heisman contender. He'll be in New York at the end of the year. So that's about for the top 25. Hot takes coming up next. Now, this room just got burning on fire because the hot takes are here. I went 4-6 last week. I'm going to do that and more this week. I'm coming back for some interest, going 6-6 on the hot takes. First one, I ended with an upset last week, North Carolina State over Georgia Tech. Let's open with one this week. I think Oregon heads up to Iowa City, Iowa, plays one of the toughest environments in college football in week 11, and loses to the Hawkeyes, because Iowa, the Hawkeyes, they can play a little bit of offense now. If Oregon can't even blow out Wisconsin at home, you're not going to do much with Iowa on the road. That's a huge upset. Iowa beats a top 5 team in Oregon. Next one, Texas A&M over Missouri. It's a ranked-on-ranked matchup, but I think Missouri kind of has the life sucked out of them right now. They lose to Alabama in a heartbreaking loss at home. You lose to Vanderbilt in a heartbreaking loss at home. You lose your quarterback. It's all about next year in the future, even if there is a future without Elijah Drinkwitz after this season. We'll see what happens to him if he leaves and goes to another program. But I think Texas A&M just proves what they can do week in, week out, and they do that again this week against Missouri. Next one, I got another team losing out on their playoff hopes, and this week it's the Louisville Cardinals. I think Cal, Jaron Kawasaki-Palette, they almost pulled off the upset last week against Virginia, an undefeated team in ACC play. Cal gets the win over Louisville this week. Miller Moss and the Cardinals, their season, really playoff hopes, end in this one at the hands of Justin Wilcox and Cal. Next one, LSU versus Alabama. It's a great rivalry game, and I think it's a game I'd love to go to. When you think of SEC, you think of LSU, you think of Alabama, you think of this rivalry matchup. I got Alabama and a huge win right here. I think it might be the biggest margin of win ever in this series. And there's been some big wins in this series. You look back at 2021, 2020, those are some big games. I think one year was 55-17 under Nick Saban. I just think they destroy them. I really do. Alabama over LSU, huge win. LSU's going to be with an interim head coach. It's not going to work out for them. Ty Simpson wants a huge win right here, and he gets it. Alabama over LSU. Now, the last game of the week, BYU versus Texas Tech. I think BYU gets waxed by Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech, they have all the pieces around them right now. Baron Morton's back and healthy. They're ready to make this college ball playoff. BYU's kind of scraped by in a few games, and they're a good football team, don't get me wrong, but Texas Tech is ready to wipe the floor with them in Lubbock on Saturday. That's about for the hot takes. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Stay tuned. Now, the best to last question of the day. The question this week is, what matters more? A good coach with all the X's and O's, or a good culture? I was thinking about that this week when I was looking at all these NFL quarterbacks, because maybe these NFL quarterbacks had good coaches. Maybe, Adam Gase wasn't the worst. Maybe Hugh Jackson wasn't the worst for Baker Mayfield. But was there always a good culture there? I don't think so. I think that's why these quarterbacks go to good cultures, and they're playing great now. Sam Darnold up in Seattle, Baker Mayfield down in Tampa Bay. All they need is a culture reset. I think that's what matters in the NFL, just like a Daniel Jones as well. So question of the day, what matters more in really just general sports? A good coach with all the X's and O's, or a coach that can build culture around you? That's about for question of the day. That's about for Schoolyard Sports with Lane Frank, episode 237. Thank you for tuning in. Follow Schoolyard Sports on Instagram at Schoolyard Sports, on TikTok at Schoolyard Sports, on Twitter at Schoolyard Sports, and don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review for the best sports content in the world. Be back here next week, episode 238. Stay tuned.